So, when I went into Incheon airport, it was so bright that I was surprised.
What I saw.
It was so different from what I remembered. I used to wonder if I could really live in Korea. Why did I think that way? I didn't know much about it, just vaguely. Only the men.
Even so, but
When I first arrived in Korea, I was totally lost. I still reflect on it today.
Lee Jun-gi is an actor who pursues his dreams and goals, constantly moving forward.
when I first came to Korea, I wondered, do I have to act like that and stand out so much for people around me to notice me? I watched Korean television just once, and I saw it. After watching more drama and living in South Korea, I realized it was entirely different from what I had been told. Initially, the difference was unbelievable.
But after a while, I got used to everything.
That's right, even the language.
Everything is different in Korea, including the culture and eating habits. I was surprised by the way people eat when I first arrived.
So when you first came to Korea, how did you feel when you tried the food?
I initially couldn't eat handongan. I heard there are many traditional Korean foods like naenguk, and I also...
It was delicious.
For a while, I couldn't eat National Intelligence Service food because of how much it affected me personally.
Just me.
Whenever I ate something, the smell was just too strong.
Rice was...
Because it was so delicious, I kept eating it, and things like doenjang, kimchi, and even kimchi were just too strong.
That's what it was. That's why.
So if I was sensitive to a certain degree, I thought there must be a reason for it. And when I ate it, I would get a rash. That's why... That's how people are connected by such a strange fate.
Like that, Yeminhan.
That's right. At that time, handongan kept eating doenjang soup, rice, and banana milk. Even eating that much, I would get so full that I couldn't eat anything else. And then later, when I got hungry again, I would eat a little bit more.
That's how the food was. You have to listen to what others say and accept it, but sometimes because of the control, you start to feel a sense of resistance. So actually, if you just eat it thinking, oh, this is something I can eat, then you can eat it, but...
That's how it is, just like I'm saying here right now.
It tastes kind of bland, you know that thing.
I haven't tried it in the north.
Because it's food, it's unfamiliar.
There's none in North Korea. No, it was just so unfamiliar, but when I tried it, it had a really unique flavor. I thought I should try this at least once while in South Korea. So I actually ate a lot of fermented skate, and when we had it, there was always a story that went along with it. Since we're in the National Assembly right now, we have to be careful like this. But once we leave, it's not like this at all, never like that.
We can't even eat like this, yes.
Eat well while you can. That's why there were people who ate a lot before leaving, but I couldn't eat that much.
The food didn't suit my taste, yes.
And then the pizza, just a little bit, just a bite.
Like this.
It looks so good just watching it on television, but how do I eat something like that? I told myself, I'll try it just once, so I did. But as expected, since it wasn't a taste I was used to, my mouth just rejected it. Food.
People who had eaten it before ate more and ate better. How about now? Food.
Now, I can't eat because I don't have teeth.
Ah, that's right. Now,
If you tell me to eat something hard, I can't.
I can't eat it. I can't.
I really can't eat it, I just can't.
But the food didn't really suit my taste. I simply arrived here and began living an authentic Korean life. It just happened, without a specific starting point.
We were definitely a bit behind, in that regard.
Every moment.
It felt like I was dreaming, the feeling...
Yes, that's right.
I really felt it. I was just completely overwhelmed. Depending on where you go and who you meet, things can be so different. Honestly, the constant noise of the escalator and cars running 24/7 is overwhelming. It scares me, and I often find myself crouching in my room, covering my ears to block out the sound. We were on the 9th floor, and from my view, cars pass by continuously, 24/7. Abba, do you think we can live here? When I look outside with you, it seems like people here never have a day off. If we live this diligently, will we end up like them someday? Just going back and forth, getting worn out day after day?
That's not what I meant.
Back then, I barely managed to hold back my complicated feelings. Maybe it was because I held back my tears, but I think I was really upset back then. When I actually saw it, it felt so different. Can I really speak freely here, even now?
And then Guri.
Due to the complexity, gradually increase your walking distance daily, starting with 109 yards, 3 feet, 3 inches, then 328 yards, 543 yards, 1,968 yards, and so on until you can cover the entire distance.
Repeating that.
When you repeat it, you sweat a lot more. Hey, I'm already sweating here. If you keep repeating this distance without being able to do it, will it be effective? And when I looked down at the ground, I saw people holding their phones, holding them tightly, and looking down. But since we didn't know, we just looked up and listened. I think that made me even more nervous.
Then I did the first broadcast together with Abeonim. No, that's not it.
I was the first to escape and defect to South Korea when my father headed the National Supervision Unit.
Hey, Ryong's daughter.
He received trust from the head of the National Supervision Unit. He did really well.
Yeah, but still daughter.
I sent her to the Central Cadre School, but honestly, it's nothing special.
That's not it. It's just like any other university, nothing special.
So my father, my uncle, and my cousin...
Ajumunjido.
No, it's not. My cousin's husband is Kim Jong-suk, who served as the vice president of the Teachers College.
Vice president?
He was the vice president. So, if you think about it now, it wasn't that scary. So, if someone said something to me, I would just go along with it. So that's how I started thinking and acting that way. Anyway, our father, I barely saw him for about 3 days after I started college, so we would go to see our father directly at his workplace.
If you ask, did you leave Korea? Yunasi would say yes.
At that time, I had to submit my application to the education office, but I put it off and delayed it even more.
Why did I do that? I was nervous too.
I ran the marathon for about a year.
At that time,
I keep introducing myself the same way repeatedly, without any memorable quotes or unique aspects.
Because it's like that. That's how it is.
So I kept seeing it, and then I came back through education and ended up betraying myself. So, at first, I didn't understand it at all and felt a sense of shock. Everything about Eve felt like a drama to me, but now that I think about it, she was definitely a real person. So, the image I had was of Jang Dong-gyun, the actor, and Kobek, the actress, playing those roles. Because I like you, so the character Jang Dong-gyun plays is like, oh, I'm this way, I'm reserved, and you're completely outgoing, Hye Jang-nim. So, since we're so different, we can't be together. That's the kind of relationship it is. If you do this, you won't accept my heart.
It's Jangmyeon, so...
This man says he doesn't love her, but he stays at home, listens to her, and shares the same space. So she keeps getting her hopes up. That's why she goes to America. I was shocked by that.
To pull myself together, I went to America, not anywhere else.
My heart was aching, so I could only go to America. When I saw that scene, I thought of my friend and felt sorry for him. Hey, are you watching this? You said your heart was hurting, so you took a recommendation letter and went to America without the country's permission.
That's what I said, so...
But Nam Joseon was simply that way.
That's why, so...
You knew, because you were Nam Joseon, you wanted to do everything, and you wanted to fit in, so you did everything to fit in. We were confined within the school gates, but you had the freedom to leave.
That's right. That's why...
Yes, it's not just because America represents the country, or it's a national thing, or it's close to Japan, but simply because it's comfortable. For example, when I received a shock, we were told, if you ever feel like you're going to jump off a famous bridge in Gyeogwaseo, please let us know. That's how much they cared at Gyeogwaseo. And another thing, they said they lived by opening a store on the other side of Cheonggyecheon, even when I read books called Poverty or Hunger in the supplementary materials. We were taught not to value our lives too highly and that our parents shouldn't mourn if we died in front of them. That's how we were educated. But we learned about drama through CDs. This is Moonhee Ok's, This is The Distance of Love by Nam Seo Ulmyung-dong.
It was a song.
The title is Life Doesn't Go My Way. Back then, whenever I listened to this song, I would cry.
리디울 완전.
Songs from the 50s and 60s.
When you listen to them?
But the music of Moon Hyuk is more like a music video.
That's right, but...
When you see it, it feels like a famous scene.
That's what it is, and...
The women wore short skirts and went shopping, and there were so many things to see. Back then, it was really exciting.
That's...
People would go in that way, but the problem was that it was really crowded, especially on Myeongdong Street.
There were so many people.
Even though people were going in like that, the security guards didn't stop me. And then I was so excited that I took the CD, came home, and showed it to my dad.
I was a little...
I wasn't scared. Although my dad usually doesn't let me listen to this type of music, he made an exception this time because it sounded like Nam Joo-sun's music.
Why did Dad...
Because he was in a special unit. He knew the situation well. Dad always said there are a lot of people with the same name in the same area. Our dad, watching over us, would pretend to be drunk and follow them, reporting anything suspicious to the police. He vowed to never let anything happen to us.
That's what he said.
Because there are too many people.
But that expression is scary.
Using such a blunt approach.
That's right, but...
I was a bit shocked by those words. Yeah, a lot of people are now living as freelancers, working in their own way, not being tied down to one place, and just saving up as much as they can. Seeing that, I also want to live like that. I remember before I once got caught for coming up to the rooftop without permission, and I was held in the security office for 7 hours at the construction site.
Had to do labor? Yes.
I had to carry bricks and sand, and then later, I was so exhausted that I was shaking. So we said, "Please call our father, please call our father." Then your father said, "What is it? I'm the head of the National Supervision Team." Then he came over and scolded us, saying, "Why are you making such a fuss? Oh, by the way."
Then...
Because of that, I was really shocked. So, as soon as they saw that, those people wanted to enter freely as they pleased. But because of our blue barbed wire, they couldn't get in easily, and that's when the tension started. That became a decisive turning point.
I was a little scared. Then, at that time when you were watching Korean dramas so secretly, didn't you get caught? That's why I'm curious about it now. I didn't get caught back then, and I'm still not caught.
But most of the time, people say they're from Gangnam, and when I went to Korea, I wanted to act, so I went to audition. But there was another person next to me.
I'm that case. Oh, but I didn't pass and didn't make it.
Oh, and then...
Now, if Kimchi asks, then like this,
That house doesn't seem like the Kim family house at all, but... it's likely because the house is no longer inhabited.
School is just a place you go to and come back from, but since it's school, maybe they don't change it to Chinese style or anything like that.
At first, I just went back and forth. At that time,
Doing everyday things.
I listened to people, went in and out, did some chores, and just lived like that. Because Abaji went out into the world and worked hard, our family was able to live well without any trouble. So, I don't think they'll say anything bad, and I don't think they'll even try to harm us. When I worked at the National Economic Institute, if a child like this visited, I'd tell them to contact me, but there was no way for them to do so. No contact was made.
Didn't you see Hanga? I don't really know what the question was just now, but you explained it so well that I just listened without thinking. That's why I ended up being so nervous.
People wonder how I defected after watching dramas. Even during the authorities' investigation, I remained loyal and didn't betray or give up anyone. What I'm telling you now isn't due to brainwashing or coercion. I didn't defect because of threats of execution, torture, or being forced to do something. You know, right now I wasn't starving, I wasn't about to die, and it wasn't like I was being chased by the authorities. It was just that when I heard about Sung Seng Nim, I felt drawn to him. But I understood, you know, so what could I do? That's how it was.
When I first arrived in South Korea, Park Geun-hye was the president. I simply went with the flow. If you stay somewhere long enough, you start talking like the locals. Some people have defected from North Korea. Shouldn't we be courageous too? Some people hesitate briefly when they first hear about it, while others take longer to decide. To be honest, if I put it bluntly, there are a lot of people who defected just for their own benefit, and there are also those who didn't defect for any particular reason, but still, you know.
In my opinion, they simply followed others and defected as a group.
But
After I defected, my father was caught by border guards within 3 days when I looked back.
he was taken away immediately. Yunachi arrived after.
3 days later,
3 days later after that from Abeonim.
I have to join the family after church, but I can't go yet. I'm a little worried because our father hasn't arrived.
I didn't even say goodbye, and just like that I left.
When I was young, I would often go out to play, and my mom would always tell me, "Come back early." But my mom didn't know. She just said, "Go, there's nothing dangerous out there."
As a result, I ended up living as a defector in South Korea.
If you want to do it, that's how it is.
I had to have that, and I did, so it was there.
That's right. Back then, when I was watching drama, I saw that the mother in the house was sitting by the window, embroidering, looking out at the scenery.
So,
After witnessing the situation, I remained silent and asked the border guard commander to introduce me to his junior. That's how I ended up dating the commander and got some money. At that time, that's just how things were.
Yeah, that's just how things were back then.
So back then, there was someone I knew in middle school, and at that time, that person was my classmate. I was introduced to him, that's how I met him, and I approached him very straightforwardly.
What did you say, the company commander?
Seonjing Nim, I think I need to stay for about 2 months. How long would it take if I do it like this right away?
I did it. So I asked.
This arrangement is nice. Since that's the case, I guess I should step back.
Where was the money?
The money? I managed to collect 1.2 billion won today, barely.
It's gone.
Yes, back then our father was the head of the National Supervision Agency, so I didn't even get to attend the police memorial on that side. There are so many things I want to say.
Even a branch of the National Supervision Agency and its deputy commander were involved.
Yes, that's right.
The North offers opportunities for planting trees and outdoor activities. The National Supervision Agency, which controls traffic, is susceptible to bribery. The National Supervision Agency operates in a way that led my father to take many bribes. He saved up the bribe money with the intention of escaping to South Korea. At that time,
At that time, the National Supervision Agency managed everything: land, mountains, rivers, and even the sky. So, if you wanted to live well, you had to bribe them. That's why people in the North would give them all kinds of bribes and try to curry favor.
the process of doing that.
Planting crops requires bribing the National Supervision Agency.
That's right, actually.
The National Supervision Agency is very strict, and their reputation is like that.
Just like a watchdog.
The new recruits, that's how it is in reality.
In North Korea, there's no way to survive. It's tough here too, but there's no way to survive in North Korea because it's a planned economy. So how are you supposed to live? During my military service, I saved up my pay until discharge. When I returned and used the money, the company commander would ask how many months' worth of pay I had saved.
So, when I asked the company commander for some money, he just told me to keep my mouth shut and sit down. I was trying to get 20,001, but how much do you think I would have to give him to get it? Hey, you have to pay a bribe, that's how it was. Even if you couldn't pay, if you gave him 51, you had to accept it. That's how it was. 50, yes, just 50 for a bribe. But back then, I thought 51 was too much. But later, I saw people who just handed it over without saying anything, just quietly giving it. That's how it was. Yeah, even if you didn't get the money, you still had to give it. Yes, crossing the river was possible, but I couldn't do it.
That area's...
It's not even a person. And if it's 500,001, the seller only gets about 50,001. That's how it is. So in the end, if I follow that, I have to sell 10 times as much.
So
How did our Abaji's entire fortune end up disappearing like that?
So that's how...
And then just 3 days later, our Abaji was arrested, so what could this mean?
Teoshiguna. But then,
Now that we're in, that's when the trembling starts.
I went straight...
Come on, you. How could you be a party member and see the chief's shoes like that so many times, and then follow your daughter and get caught? What's this?
Now, that's why.
Our father kept saying yes, but since he was too gentle, even when he said, no, I can't, he would still give in. Even now, when he says no, he ends up agreeing. It's like when you have to eat food that's given to you. That's how it was. But now, if our father were to leave us, I don't think I could handle it well, so I don't think I could live without him. I proclaimed myself a beauty queen, left my food, and locked myself in my room. However, my sister went to college and did well, so I followed her example. Her college major became mine, and that's how it happened. But he kept enduring it. Staying up all night and trying to stay awake can prevent you from sleeping. Doing this repeatedly can make you sick. But now even our Kwana Beoji is in the north.
He was, a security officer.
Back then, those comrades helped our Kwana Beoji escape safely, thanks to their presence. I saw it myself at that time, so I remember those people clearly. That's how it was.
Do it.
After 32 days, it was released, Abba.
He was released on bail.
That occurred near the April 15th general election, specifically on March 2nd.
Since that was the day, so...
I bet you took the plane and left China, right?
My mother stayed behind,
She didn't even know my name and held me tight.
trying to let me go. Hugging me.
At that time, I also knew someone in China.
I knew someone was somewhere in China.
I had nothing to do with where I was going. That person was Chinese, but there was someone named Hyangmi An. If Hyangmi An was somewhere, she was a friend of our An family from the same hometown.
Yeah, anyway.
When someone in the family passed away, we would stay up for a few months in mourning and things like that.
But then...
Hyungmi Abeoji said when he visited North Korea in the past, he would act like Abeorang. As a result, his calls to China would get disconnected.
So,
When Abeoji needed to do things like that, he would say, hey, bring me the car battery, or hey, bring me the charger, then make the call. But at that time, I didn't know Abeoji's phone number.
Shall I call? So down that road?
So I got off, and that uncle was waiting for me at the bus stop. Oh, that...
On April 15th, my father came to the hospital to pick me up.
My father, as usual.
He was about to go, but he came back. He was supposed to go to China, but he didn't, so...
So my father didn't know. He clearly didn't know, so he just went.
he knew.
That's why he caught Hyangmi's father? Hey, where are you going? You always start with the same thing, but you should say something new. Say something different. Our house is on the road right now.
Just like this.
So that's why Nam Joseon had to go. That's why he did it. And our father was killed, and now our family is...
That's right.
Our family was likely classified as an enemy in the class system, putting us on the list. However, my father was an exception. This is why North Korean soldiers sometimes betray and defect, because they realize there is a way to survive by escaping. As a soldier, I was content having enough food for myself and my children, even if we only occasionally had meat. I believed we were living better than most, so I lived with that self-satisfaction. Rice and soup here, just rice and soup, sometimes with nothing else to eat.
You can eat whatever you want.
Right, you can even eat beef whenever you want.